What's going on, everyone? Matic here, and this week we're going to go over on how to train and do a very basic pushing step. Alright, so you guys might remember a previous video I did on the 3 basic steps to moving forward and backwards when it comes to fighting. In this video, we're going to go a little bit more in depth in the first step, which was just a basic push step. So, in the previous video, I mentioned the easiest way to do this is making sure our stance and all that's correct, guarding center, whatnot, is just to lift the front leg. If I'm going forward, I want to lift my front leg and push off with my back leg. Lift and then push. And that is perfectly fine. So before we start working on the actual push and a fighting stance, we're going to go over a little bit of training stuff or training drills that we do to get used to this pushing movement. Because there's several ways we can do this push. So one of the training ways that we do is we typically go down the floor and we'll get into technically a side stance. Is you'll basically bend your knees, both feet are turned slightly outward. And from here, all I'm going to work on is facing this way, practicing my hands up, is I'm going to pick my front leg up, and I'm going to push, and push, and push, and push. And I'll work that up and down the floor, back and forth, however many times I need to. And this first version, on how to do the push, all I want to concentrate is just lifting this leg and pushing forward. It kind of looks like a hop when you do it really slow, but lift and push, lift and push. You can extend your leg out as far as you want to, as long as you stay in control. You want to try not to go up when you do this, or down, unless it is on purpose. And by that point, you're already in your fighting stance. But you want to try to go down the floor with a level, even head each time. And paying especially attention to, because I find people do this all the time, is making sure I'm starting here. My feet are this wide. When I go to do my push and I stop, my feet come right back to here. It's very, very easy, especially when you start doing this fast down the floor, is you'll push good, and then here. You will subconsciously bring your feet closer together, usually to try to get a longer, harder push. And by that point, you're using momentum, and that's not what we want to use. We want to use proper body mechanics and the strength from our leg pushing to make us go this way. And then just to apply that to your fighting stance is get into your fighting stance, push your leg, and push, and push. Okay, so now the second way that we can do this push, it's more of a midway point, and it's not so much as a push as really a pull. So if we go back to training the movement up and down the floor, so now instead of picking my front leg up and pushing with my back leg, what I'm going to do from here now is, if I do it slow, my head might change, but in reality you don't want it to, is I'm going to reach out with my front leg, and I'm placing my heel down for emphasis, and I'm going to act like I'm going to pull my body forward. Pull my body forward. Pull my body forward. Pull my body forward. So I'm going to reach out and pull, and pull, and pull. The simplest way, or the stupid way, on how to do this is if you're just walking or you see something and you just pull yourself forward. Pull, 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 We're just taking that to here, boom, boom, boom. Then from there, apply to our fighting stance. I reach out, and 1, and 2, and 3. This is a good movement to use, primarily when you're coming over with the backhand, because it kind of crunches and projects everything forward to really sink in that backhand you're about to throw. Which leads us right into the third version on how to do our push step. Okay, so the third version, or the final form of our push step, is we're going to combine the first and second versions. So if we get into our side step here, so the first version was a simple push, boom. Second version was a pull. So we're going to combine those into one movement. So from here, this leg is going to push. I'm still going to pick this one up, but as soon as this leg touches the floor, I'm going to pull. Push and pull. Push, pull. Push and pull. Push and pull. Push and pull. Okay? And then you go into your fighting stance. Makes this a little bit easier to get your push off because the line of power or energy is a little bit better. And from here, I'm going to push and pull. Push and pull. Push and pull. Boom. Boom. One of the things that it does is it makes my legs come to this position quicker. So if you notice, when I just do the push, you hear that sound with my back leg? There's that long sliding sound. It's a little bit longer than the third version. Even when I just pull my leg, there's still that slide. There's still that slide. But when I do the push and pull, it's much quicker. It's much quicker, automatically, without me having to really think about it. All I'm doing is pushing with this leg and pulling with this one. So if you go back to a previous video that I did talking about how to do a standard or basic jab, you'll remember that when I extend my back leg, it makes my body turn, and it also extends my front hand at the same time. Boom. Just turn it. Boom. So that's where our push comes in. That's where our push comes in. And when I mentioned earlier with the second version of our push step, is it's really good to come with that backhand. So now, I do this push, and then boom, and then I come right over. At the same time I pull, here, and my second hand is already going. And that's what I want to try to do when I start adding hands to my step. So I have this nice push, boom, nice push, boom, and I'm going to throw the backhand. 1, 2, 1, 2. It'll take time to get used to where the distance is for your front hand, but it will really send out this second hand really, really fast and hard, especially when you time the pull and the beginning of your punch as soon as your foot lands. So when you're first learning this or start adding your hands, it's fine to go 1, And then from here, strong pull, pull. And I go to here. And then reset. So 1, extend, and then pull in to let that hand go. Gradually build up your speed, your timing, and then all of a sudden your hands get so much faster from a standard 1-2 to a 20. The speed and the power just goes up immensely. So the first 2 versions are fine. The first version is perfectly fine. That's a standard push across the board in any form of combat sports or martial arts. The second one's a little bit more niche, primarily designed for throwing the backhand. Combine the 2, and now you have a 1-2 punch that has incredible power and even more incredible speed coming after it. And it's usually a level of speed few people, very few people, are able to handle unless they are already moving away from you or out of your line of attack. If they haven't moved yet, that second hand is coming right at them and it's going to hurt. So if you're training this and you start messing with this, be very careful with your speed and your power when you start getting comfortable with it. Because the people you're sparring with, you don't want to purposely hurt them, but you will catch them off guard a lot. Then they'll start wondering why you're so freaking fast. And that's all it is. You're just combining 2 different ways of pushing with your hands, and that's all you've done. You haven't tried to get faster, you haven't tried to get stronger, but now, pow! That's how we do the push step. This is Matic, and I'll see you guys next time. What's going on, everyone? Matic here, in this week's video. This week's video. Why can't words?